shoes, so two amazing race day options. So for me at this stage, these are my top two race shoes that are currently on the market. I know shoe comparison I've got for you guys today. So we are going to put my two favorite race shoes up against each other. So the Puma Nitro Elite Fast-R 3 up against the Nike Alphafly 3. So we'll go through their similarities, differences, and key features, and hopefully from that, that'll give you guys a great indication of choosing the right race shoe for you. But before we get into it, and if you guys haven't done so already, and you want to support the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And with the specs, both neutral road racing shoes. And as you can see there by the price, there's a bit of a mismatch depending on what country you try to buy these shoes at. So in Australia, the Fast-R is actually the cheapest shoe, when in the US, the Alphafly 3 is the cheapest shoe. Now in the weight, bit of a difference there as well. Can you notice that? Well, in the hand I can notice it, and on the foot, it is noticeable, but probably not as much as what you'd think. And I'm not too sure how much that difference in weight actually affects my performance. And in the stacks there, they read exactly the same, however they feel quite different underfoot. So the foam in the heel, especially of the Fast-R, is softer and it collapses more, so you do feel a bit lower to the ground when in comparison to the Alphafly. And in the uppers, two incredibly lightweight and breathable uppers here, exactly what you want to see in your race day shoes. So ultra weave is what they use here in the Fast-R. You can pretty much see straight through it. The air just flows straight into it. Absolutely excellent. Pretty solid heel counter at the back, especially here down the bottom. It's got a hard cap, which is surprising in a race shoe. You don't see too many race shoes with that much structure in the back, but it does get a little bit flexible here towards the top. Minimal amount of padding around the heel collar in this one. Our tongue has got no padding on it whatsoever. It is simply just a piece of that ultra weave just cut into the shape of the tongue. It's not gusseted. It does get tricky to lay flat as you're lacing up. Pretty standard lacing system here. Reinforced eyelets down either side. No midfoot strap. Midfoot lockdown, quite good though, and no heel slippage in the back. So overall you feel really secure and locked in this shoe. In the fit though, this shoe will fit long, and it's quite narrow as well. But if you've got a normal to a narrow foot, you could probably come down half a size in this just to get that length right. However, if you've got a bit of a wider foot, you're better off just sticking to true to size in this one. Now, in comparison to the Alphafly, AtomNet 3.0 is the material, but again, you can see straight through it. The air just rips straight through it, exactly what you want. Again, like the Fast-R, it's got a solid cap here in the heel counter for the bottom, so it's just to give that heel a little bit of structure. And then we've got some a pretty flexible top on our little Achilles flare here that we've got. I'm going to say you've got slightly more padding in the Alphafly, but they've just sort of got one pad, and that just rests on the Achilles, but it's in a really good spot, super comfortable upper. And the tongue, as you can see here, it's all one piece. So this shoe is a booty design, so meaning that there's no separate tongue. You've just got to stretch these parts open here and squeeze your foot in like so. Now with our lacing system, there is no eyelets on the shoe. They've just got these straps that run down either side of the knit, and the laces just weave through. We've got these notch laces that are absolutely amazing, do a great job at cinching up. Lockdown in the Alphafly, for me, it is perfect. It's excellent. So I feel like this shoe and this size, this design of the shoe is actually made for my foot. It feels like it's been custom made. I love the fit in the Alphafly, so no, perfect through the midfoot, no heel slippage in the back. In the fit, in the length, true to size. In the width, perfect. So not too wide, not too narrow, no toe rubbing on either side, perfect in the toe box volume. That is for my foot. Now, stepping comfort with both shoes, fair bit of wow factor in both. So this super foam, you squish into it when you walk around, so a nice step in feel. And build quality though, I'm going to say I'm going to give the nod to the Puma. Yeah, it looks a little bit better finished off, more so in comparison to the Alphafly. And in the outsoles, probably two of the best performing outsoles on the market in my opinion. So we got Puma grip here in the Fast-R. As you can see there, pretty much the majority of the forefoot there is covered. And we've got a little bit of some Puma grip here in the high wear areas at the back. What you'll notice here on the Fast-R, it's not the typical Puma grip that you would see on the training shoes. It doesn't have any lugs. It's quite a slick surface. However, don't be worried about that, because this thing in the grip department is excellent. So it's 10 out of 10. Even on a wet, greasy road, the Puma grip does not falter. So you can have 100% confidence in the outsole in this shoe, regardless of the conditions. Where Alphafly 3, so they use their waffle lugs here. Yeah, again, primarily on the forefoot there. A different type of rubber here in the high wear areas at the rear, but this is actually, instead of the slick surface, they've got these little lugs, so they've got a bit more of an aggressive tread pattern. So these lugs will wear down quite quickly. However, once they find their groove and adjust to the way that you run and strike the ground, they stay pretty consistent, and durability is not too bad in this shoe either. But in the grip department, these waffle lugs and the rubber that they use is also excellent. It's not like a 10 out of 10 grip as you're going to get in the Puma grip. However, it's not too far behind. So still, on race day, you can have 100% confidence that this waffle lug design that Nike use in pretty much all their shoes is not going to let you down. And in the midsole, so this is where all the magic happens with these two shoes. So the foam that they're using here in the Fast-R is their Nitro Elite foam. It's a brand new formulation, and I don't believe they've used this version in any of their other shoes that are currently on the market. So 2 layers of this Nitro Elite foam. We get a big, in our top layer, fair big chunk of it there under the midfoot, forefoot, and it does thin out towards the heel. Then you get our full length power plate or carbon plate. Actually, it's an extended one, comes out 10-15 mil past the big toe. As you can see there, that's going to act as a bit of a lever when you run, or that's the idea behind it. And then they've got their bottom layer of that Nitro Elite foam, so a thinner layer here under the forefoot. So that plate is quite close to the road in the front of the shoe, but then aggressively it swoops up, and then we've got our bottom layer in the heel area here of that Nitro Elite foam, which is quite unique as well. So it's totally separate from the rest of the shoe. You can see it's just a pod there, and it's missing a big chunk of the midsole foam around that heel area, because you can see your heel comes back here, and you can see there's a big chunk of foam missing there, and that certainly does translate on how you feel this shoe when you're running in it. Now, geometry wise, this shoe has got a early stage rocker, so meaning the tip point starts further back towards the middle of the shoe. And in terms of aggression, so it is, I will say it's a pretty aggressive roll forward as well. So early stage rocker, pretty aggressive as well. And certainly it's an extended rocker, because the shoe keeps rocking past that usual point with this extended carbon plate here. And in the Alphafly, so Zoom X is what they're using here. So that's Nike's premium race day foam, 2 layers. So they've got their top layer here, then under that a full length fly plate or their carbon plate, and that makes this shoe super stiff. So I reckon the Alphafly is the stiffest shoe on the market for sure. Certainly a lot stiffer here than the Fast-R. As you can see, the Fast-R's got a bit of flex, but cannot budge this Alphafly. Now under that fly plate, they have got what is really unique to the Alphafly. They've got these 2 air zoom units under the forefoot there, and that's designed obviously to give this shoe some bounce properties, especially when you start compressing these or hitting this sweet spot in the shoe, which I'll go into later. And the rest of the bottom of the shoe is just that bottom layer of Zoom X foam. Now in the geometry department, just like the Fast-R, it has got a early stage rocker. However, it is a gentle rocker. So the lean forward or the rock forward is not as aggressive feeling, not as tilt forward as feeling as what you're going to get here. And in the rides, well, these two shoes feel quite different underfoot. So with the Fast-R, so the first word that comes to mind here when I describe this shoe is always fast. It feels lightning fast. It feels like it's got a turbo plugged into it and away you go. So really responsive. You feel really powerful in it. It's soft, it's bouncy, it's just exciting, and it's got a real unique feeling about it. It is really soft and probably a little bit unstable through the heel, because it's not really designed, I think, for heel strikers, because you don't get the most out of the shoe there. I think you really get the most out of this shoe midfoot, forefoot strikers when you're putting the power, putting some pace into the shoe. Now, how I feel in this shoe is quite a different feeling than what I felt in any other shoes. The more I run in this shoe, the more I am aware of how the shoe's working for me. And yeah, I just feel so powerful in it. you just get so much more purchase from the ground. So as you're coming through your foot strike and you're powering off the forefoot, you just feel like you're getting the ground and you're ripping it behind you. You feel like you've got a nice big bite into the ground. It feels like you're on the ground for longer, so probably ground contact time is probably higher than probably what it is in any other shoes, but you just feel like you're on that ground for that little bit longer and you're just ripping the ground behind you. So yeah, this lever I think just kicks in and just gives you an extra centimetre or two, and it just, yeah, it really for me promotes a really long stride. It probably slows down my cadence slightly, but I'm not too sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, I just feel super powerful, these really big, long, powerful strides. And yeah, as I said, it just feels fast. And the watch, when you're looking down at the watch, perceived effort in this shoe is lower. You look down at the watch and yeah, I am always surprised with the pace that I'm running, with the effort that I'm feeling. So I have not tested this shoe out yet in a proper race conditions, and it's getting its first test this weekend, Gold Coast Half Marathon. This is my shoe of choice. So I'll report on that after the race of how this shoe actually went. But I've done some 5Ks in this, and this shoe just absolutely blows me away of how much efficient, how quicker, or how easy those quicker paces feel in this shoe when in comparison to other shoes. Now with the Alphafly, so first word that comes to mind here, so bouncy. And obviously it's all got to do with the big slab of foam here and these pods at the front. So you feel a lot more safe in this shoe. Like it sort of doesn't matter where you strike in this shoe, you're still getting that Zoom X bounce. You're still getting a pretty stable platform, especially through the rear here. And then all that foam just rolls you onto this geometry. You compress these pods, and as you start rolling onto the rocker, these pods are just timed just in the right spot for when this rocker starts. So these pods will decompress and you'll get a little bit of pop, and that'll roll you onto this gentle rocker and away you go. So that's how the Alphafly works. So you don't actually feel like it's tilting you forward and wanting you to run faster and faster and faster, kind of like what the Fast-R does. It pretty much just says you dictate the pace that you run, you settle into your cadence, and away you go. So really, it doesn't really matter too much if you're a heel striker, midfoot striker, or a forefoot striker. As long as you're compressing these pods at some stage and that's just getting you onto the rocker, you're going to get the most out of these pods. But yeah, it does have a sweet spot. When you start ramping right onto the pods, you get that extra bit of pop. But I'm going to say overall, it's quite a safe shoe for a lot of runners out there, certainly in comparison to this shoe. But this shoe is really just set and forget. It doesn't feel aggressively fast. It just feels like it's got lots of bounce. It's really consistent, and it's quite a safe shoe as well. But amazing, amazing shoe. You put this one on, you set your pace, and you just forget about it. So this one feels like the V8. You just put your cruise control on down the highway, and away you go. Whereas this one feels like the zippy turbocharged whatever car that the young people drive these days. And just wrapping up the comparison between these two shoes, so two amazing race day options. So for me at this stage, these are my top two race shoes that are currently on the market. I know Asics, Hoka and New Balance are all about to drop some bombs, so my opinion could change pretty soon. But at the moment, these two are my picks, but both extremely different rides. So remember the Fast-R, super lightweight, responsive, bouncy, but aggressive, super aggressive, really unstable in the heel. Not for everyone, probably going to suit those more experienced runners that are attacking times. Whereas the Alphafly, this one super comfortable, really bouncy, a little bit more stable, and probably a little bit more runner friendly, and better off suited to those slightly slower paces where you can just lock into a pace and just sit back on the shoe and let the shoe do the work for you. But anyway, guys, that's it from me. Any questions you've got regarding these two shoes, anything that I did not cover, just hit me up in the comments. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.